Oh, hi my funky friends, welcome in. If you don't know me, my name is Asia. I love to do all the vibiest things with all the vibiest people, so thanks for joining. Today on this reading vlog, we are going to be exploring what I'm coining slightly magical, because we're going to be reading through some novels that have very grounded characters and very grounded settings for the most part, which is a sprinkle of something magical. I tend to really gravitate to either super high fantasy type stories or these slice of life, very grounded stories where the main character's real struggle is their battle with themselves. And I really love unpacking how people think and how they interact with themselves and with people and the world around them. What I think really hits a sweet spot is when stories can somehow straddle both worlds of, adding this fantastical element and bringing it down to earth with very real feeling character development. So I'm really excited to read some stories with you all that I think really capture this balance. But first, let's make a snack. Now that you have our snack, this is the book that we're going to start with. First of all, the cover art. This is If You Can See the Sun by Anne Leong, and it's our first book in the slightly magical category. This is about a young girl named Alice who is from a family that doesn't have a ton but goes to a pretty prestigious school. One day she learns that she can sometimes turn invisible. I feel like this is a great first book to start with because it's really like a coming of age story and explores what it's like to be a teenage girl, and it addresses what one might deal with when it comes to pressures of society, pressures of your family, and we're sprinkling this magical plot twist of also she can turn invisible. So let's get reading. I really love the contrast of the setting because This is a student who is in China, but is going to a prep school that's structured after like the European education system. Wait, actually that's so good. Okay, so this is giving East meets West, of course, but it's also giving like OG Gossip Girl. Like her roommate's name is Chanel. And so she goes to this like prestigious international school, and the cool kids are like not only super rich and famous, but they're also so incredibly smart. If I'm following through with this Gossip Girl analogy, she's kind of like Lonely Boy or Little J. She's like desperate to be in this world, even though her family can't really afford it, because she's like the only one there on scholarship. But she just really so badly wants to be the best academically in the school. She's invisible. Okay, it's the next day and I'm about halfway through, if you could see the sign, and I'm really enjoying it so far. This story is about Alice Soon, who, you know, is not from the same tax bracket that most of the students in the international school, very prestigious East meets West school that she attends is a part of. She's on scholarship and her family cannot afford to keep her at that school. They let her know in a very indirect way that they would not be able to afford to let her finish her high school career at Arrington Academy. I think that's how you pronounce that. And they're like, we'll send you to a public school here, or you can go to Maine in America. And she's so desperate to stay at this high school. So she just feels the pressure of that constantly. And that kind of is what drives her to be what the rest of her class calls her the study machine. So basically, first day of her semester, she discovers that she randomly becomes invisible. She can't really figure out why it's happening. She ends up partnering with her like frenemy that obviously there's some sort of romantic tension with, Henry Lee, who is like very popular and is like the star student. He is like the heir to some prestigious tech company in China who she just is always beefing with. You know, her inner dialogue about Henry is it's intense. It's a little aggressive once she realizes that she has this power. She ends up partnering with him, the tech boy, and she's like, hey, I know I hate you, but let's partner up and make like some sort of software app or whatever that allows me to do services for paying customers that utilizes my supernatural ability that I have seemed to acquired. And in her mind, she's driven by, hey, I'm gonna afford to still keep going here. I'm gonna make money this way. This is gonna be my side hustle, and I'm just gonna do school and this new business venture that she and Henry enter into together called 𝖤.𝥧.𝡼. So I'm really interested to see how this continues. So far, I'm really liking it.
Puppy break already? Pocky, what are you reading these days? Are you into the magical realism? You too, Fuji. Fuji, what's your vibe when it comes to genres? What kind of stories do you puppies like, huh?
So babies, just little babies.
Do you like baby books because you're babies? Yeah. That's what I thought. You too, Fuji. That's what I thought. You're a good girl.
Hold on. Okay, the puppies are calmer now, but you can tell that this is a young adult novel because just listen to this little section. You were telling me how much you hate me. I bite my tongue, quickly averted my gaze, try to will the strange feeling in my stomach away. Eventually, when I decided safe to look at him again, without my skin bursting into flames, he says, "Do you feel better now?" Huh? You tend to stop being so scared when you're angry, he explains. Confusion bubbles inside me. How do you know that? I notice, he said simply. Another statement, another phrase thrown into the air, forced for me to decipher, but I can't wrap my head around it. What does he mean he notices? How could he be aware of something about me that I wasn't even aware of myself? It just doesn't make sense. It does make sense because no one notices. Ugh. But it's good. Overall, I like it. But yeah, there's a little sprinkle of magic and a little sprinkle of the cheese.
Okay, I think it's time for a snack break.
Don't mind if I do.
I was at my in-laws and they had these Yasso bars that are like Greek yogurt. Like, ice cream replacements, and they're a little bit lower calorie, a little more nutrient dense. I love them. They're like my new addiction. This one is the fudge chocolate crunch, and it's delicious. But no puppies, you cannot have. I'm sorry. Finished, if you can see the sun, and I really enjoyed it. It was very interesting to see the world through the eyes of Alice, and anyone who identifies with the world like Alice does, where, you know, you're someone who doesn't come from much financial means, but because of your talent, because of your skill, you have earned opportunities to be amongst a demographic of people that you do not identify with. You don't see the world like they do. And so I think it was really interesting to see that tension that Alice was aware of the entire time, how she interacts with people that she was friends with, that she wasn't friends with, that she became romantically involved with, like Henry. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting. And by the end of it, Mr. Chen, contrasting all the different teachers that we see that, you know, make up the faculty at Arrington. We have Julie, who is the American teacher who, you know, a little bit stereotypical, but like a really interesting perspective on when you come from one culture and you are in another culture and you choose not to be immersed in said culture or get to know the community around you. You just see the contrast in how Julie is so rigid and unable to appreciate the setting that she's in internationally, compared to Mr. Chen, who is very you know, knowledgeable of the culture, of course, but also like very kind and encouraging and just like intentional with the students. And what he tells her is he told her Descartes was wrong, you know, when he said, to live well, you must live unseen. And he says, to live well, you must learn to see yourself first. And I think that's a really cool like word play or theme play on If You Can See the Sun, being about her being invisible, feeling seen or unseen. And like, I mean, that's a really cool way to like wrap up the story. So I really enjoyed this. If you're into dark academia stories, if you don't mind a little bit of cheese and the young adult romance between Henry and Alice, if you are interested in different cultures, there are like really awesome nuggets of just like seeing these really cool highlights of Chinese culture, in particular with how you relate with your family members. This could be the book for you. I really enjoyed it. All right, I'm really excited about reading Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Honestly, I just got this on sale at Target. They're running one of those like BOGO deals, and I just couldn't resist because not only was there a BOGO deal, if I remember correctly, this was also marked down, and I was like, it's basically free. But I'll go ahead and read the back of the book here, and it says, "We all have regrets, choices we could have made differently, paths we didn't take, other lives we might have led. But what if you were giving a chance to fix your past?" I think this could be really interesting. I can't wait to give it a try. Fun little trick to keep me focused during reading. My heart hurts for characters like this. Oh, this is giving me kind of like Stranger Than Fiction meets A Wonderful Life. She seems to be like hyper aware of sad tragedies of her life in a way that she almost seems like on the outside looking in to her own life situation. Favorite exclamation of like if something is wild or crazy. Nora says, "This is crackers." Am I new to this term, this expression? I'm gonna add that to my book. This is okay, I was gonna keep reading in my studio, but my space is actually a glorified laundry room if you didn't know. So my brother's doing laundry right now. So I'm just gonna read in our bedroom, and so far it's so good.
book is structured, at least so far, what I'm really liking is the breaks between chapters are not very traditional. Some of these chapters are like 1 page long, but it doesn't feel like frivolous, you know, like it's not just having a ton of chapters for the sake of having a ton of chapters. It feels like it makes sense for the theme of the story as she's thinking about like snapshots of her life that she perhaps regrets. So I kind of am liking that structure for the story. This is reminding me of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I feel like it's like, you know, a sad story, chip on their shoulder, misunderstood protagonist who has kind of like a second chance at life. I mean, the whole point of this is she gets transported to this like mysterious library that's some sort of like world between worlds or purgatory or something. And I'm anticipating like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, you know, the people that come out of the factory are not the same people that entered. So that's what I'm like picking up from this book so far. I'm loving this. Library, and so far I'm really enjoying it. Basically, we're following the life and lives of Nora, who is, you know, in her 30-somethings and just really lacks the motivation to live. And so on her last night, she finds herself in the Midnight Library, which is kind of like a world between worlds, and she has like a companion who, at least so far, resembles Mrs. Elm or Miss Elm in her root life is what the librarian calls it. And she kind of just like guides her through her books of regrets, and she's able to explore like different versions of her life, but she has to be very specific about what kind of life she wants to explore. And so we're exploring the theme of like what makes life worth living. Is it happiness? Is it fulfillment?
Is it how capable you are and how successful you are? What is it about life that's worth living? And we kind of hit the ground running so far in the book. I want to say maybe 20 pages or so in, her last night in her root life turns into the midnight library, and we're spending the majority of the book so far like exploring all these different iterations of what her life could be. And so we're really getting a lot of the character development through these different versions of her life. So it's fascinating. Like, we're learning about her brother and her father and her friends and her cat, all through these like different versions of who they may be. So we don't have a sense of their truest self beyond like what she observes is different from, you know, what she has experienced in her root life and these other versions of her life. She's also super fascinated and like well versed in Henry David Thoreau, which I think is very interesting because, you know, historically Thoreau has like a very stoic philosophy and really thought that knowledge was an end of itself and not like a means to get anywhere necessarily, or like that's not all that knowledge is there for. And he tends to focus on themes of like the way to really experience the world around you is through isolation. So I'm really curious to see if Matt Haig will kind of follow that through line or like break away from that. I'm curious if the takeaway is yes and with Henry David Thoreau, or if he's showing value in like relating with people around you, and human connection and human relationships are equally as valuable as the way you relate to nature. Right now we see that she has like massive love and care for her cat and not really for any other person, at least like not so far. I'm always like nervous whenever I get books and I don't really know much about it, but you know what? This has been a win so far. All right, so I'm halfway through Midnight Library. I think I can finish this in this sitting, and this is our vibe for snacks today. Dry cereal. This is just live cereal because that's all we had. But I'm a huge dry cereal fan. I actually don't really love having cereal with milk or milk alternatives. You think that's crazy or not? It's just like granola, right? The Book of Regrets gets lighter as your regrets no longer become regrets. Here's a good Thoreau quote. We know what we perceive. Everything we experience is ultimately just our perception of it. This is getting very good. I really love Mrs. Elm. Mrs. Elm, we all need a Mrs. Elm. just finished the Midnight Library and I really enjoyed it. I think that it really gives you that like cozy, hopeful feeling that just like inspires you to, you know, take a second to see all the things you can appreciate in life, whether they be the tiniest details, relationships that may not have happened if you had another decision made that didn't lead you to a specific friendship or anything like that. And this definitely plays off the idea of like a butterfly effect, but like tenfold, because it's definitely like a lighter version of like a multiverse situation. Nora is trying to find what life actually makes her happy. Does she find fulfillment in? Where does she find love? It's just really cool to see how every version of what her life could have been, what conclusion it allows her to arrive at. I definitely would say this is very similar to It's a Wonderful Life. I highly recommend if you're looking for something that'll just, you know, make your heart feel warm and fuzzy without like the crutch of like it being like a romance. I would say there is a little bit of romance. It's really like not the most important thing to focus on, just like finding love, not necessarily romantic love, but finding love in your relationships with others. Appreciating those relationships is really the bigger takeaway. I thought that it was really cool to see Nora kind of put the pieces together. So I highly recommend this. I'm really excited to hear your thoughts if you decide to read this book, so let me know.
Okay, so I think I was a little overzealous when I was planning out this slightly magical story selection, story vlog, and I was gonna read 4 books and then make a vlog out of all of them, but I just got done editing like the first 2 stories and there's just no way. I don't want you to have to suffer watching through an hour-long, maybe longer than an hour-long vlog. Once I finished editing the first 2 stories, I saw that it was like already at the 40-minute mark and I was like, okay, I think 40 is the limit. I don't know. You let me know if you would like to see longer things, but I think I'm just gonna do a part 1 and a part 2. So I really enjoyed reading Midnight Library and If You Could See the Sun, but I'm gonna save my next 2 stories for the next time we get together and read and hang. And I'm really excited because the stories are really good. I'm excited to read them, books I've never read before. And I just hope that you enjoyed content like this. If you would like to see longer vlogs with more stories, let your girl know, because I'm happy to do that for you, but I definitely don't want to make these longer than they need to be. So just let me know in the comments. I really enjoyed hanging with you today. I will see you all next time. Until next time, remember that I love you all so much. I'll see you soon.